I would love to start today with the learning more about your initial steps in yoga, and if you could share how did you discover Iyengar Yoga, and how did you meet Guruji for the first time, and um, maybe tell more about your first class with him.
Yes, all right. So first, I would say that my interest towards yoga, it was because I was really deep insatisfaction
With
with with life. Yeah, I
mm,
started quite young. Started when I was 16, 17. Yeah, but I started, with yoga teacher in my area. Nothing to do
mm-hmm,
with like, you see what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And then a few years later, I I read the book Light on Yoga by Guruji. Just a few years later, but it took me a long time. It took me a long time to go to study with Guruji. It was just my third trip. I had two trips in India. I had the book with me. As I was practicing with the book and not knowing what I was doing, obviously.
mm-hmm.
And my first trip to India was to visit Kalu Rinpoche. He's a Tibetan teacher in
Mm-hmm.
Darjeeling. First trip to India. And you see, I arrived in, was my first trip to India. The first time I was leaving from my family.
How old
I
were
was,
you?
I was what, 20, 19, 20,
Mm-hmm.
20. I was not speaking English. And then I arrived in Calcutta in the monsoon.
Oh,
I tell you, see, my romantic trip with India was over. The romantic idea I had about India was just forget about it. So that's my first trip. My second trip, so I went around India. I went to Rishikesh, went to the south, trying to find a teacher to study with a teacher. And I had the book of Guruji, but I didn't know. You see, it's funny in life. I didn't know if he was alive. I didn't know where he was teaching. And it was my third trip that I met Guruji, but I didn't go to India, my third trip to meet Guruji. I didn't.
mm-hmm.
I was in Pune, in Lonavala. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Lonavala, very
Yes, yes,
cool.
yes. Yeah,
You
very
know,
nice place. Mm-hmm.
I was in Kevala Dham. You know, Kevala Dham, it's a
I've been
national.
there.
Yeah, you've
Mm-hmm.
been
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
library, very nice. They did a very nice translation of text. So I was studying there. And when I was there, I found out that Guruji was teaching in Pune.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and the first time I said, "No, you can't come. You can't." That many years ago. I was in my 20s. So what I did, I wrote a letter to Guruji, sending him my pictures of my asanas. It's funny, yeah? And I said to him that I really want to study with you. I think you are the only one who can help me in my journey. So he said, "Come." And I stayed there 4 years.
For four
But
years.
but you see, the thing is that it's quite funny because I didn't go even the third trip. I didn't go to see to study with Guruji. I find it out of chance. And how they say, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And my first class, it was really my first class in Iyengar Yoga. I never took Iyengar Yoga before, except practicing through the book and to practice with other teachers as well. Voilà. And that was it.
And what was your first impression of him and of his teachings?
Yeah,
Like,
it was quite wild. It's wild. And wild. And the thing is that I really want to study with him. So I was very happy. And also, it was wild. As you know, Guruji's energy, you know what I mean? It was wow. So, yes. That's why it started. Well,
you've been studying from a book, then you came to his classes. How has this journey and evolution of your practice been?
You mean in those days?
Yeah.
In what practice? Yeah, in those
Mm-hmm.
days. Because as you see, I used to practice alone. Many years I practiced alone. So when I got there, I was like a sponge. I was just absorbing everything. And then, of course, I didn't know, I didn't know anything. I knew few things, but I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to see the way to go into the asana, all this. It was very, so I didn't know the method. But since I used to practice alone for many years, yeah, it was like, I was absorbing everything very quick.
And
so, you have the enthusiasm of youth. That's also part of it, you know what I mean?
could you recall any incident from this years that maybe still warm in your heart, or could be inspiring for other practitioners who are listening to this interview?
Yeah, the thing is that you see, we all have a different process, and life never repeats itself. So the thing is that you see, it could be, well, I hope it could be inspiring, but nevertheless, everyone has to go through his own process, and life never repeats itself. So in my case, you see, the first few months, in fact, the first year, yeah, I was practicing very intensely, and I was doing a lot of advanced poses. And the thing is that you see, I was born with a club foot, quite a severe club foot. I had a surgery when I was quite young, around 6, 7, to straighten the foot, but they said the foot is shorter, the leg is shorter. In fact, Guruji never called that a club foot. It was funny, he called that a polio leg. Because every month I was sick. I was getting a lot of fever. And so he put me on a sequence resting poses for months. And the thing is that he said, you are like an overripe banana. So the first, I remember that very clearly. The first instruction he gave me, see, it was in a medical class, and there was someone in Uttita Madhichyasana, standing Madhichyasana, turning, and the person was very stiff. And he said, come, just. And I couldn't move the guy, but was very stiff. He said, your body should become like that. And it, even if the body can do the pose, you have to create resistance. In my case, and see, I understood that very later, because at the beginning was not clear. This creating resistance in my body, because, well, I was over flexible. When you are over flexible, you don't have the feedback of the body. But also emotionally, you can be also all over the place, up and it goes together. So that's why it's very instruction. And he gave me it was driving me crazy, He gave me resting poses for months. And he said, if I don't want to, I don't want you to do any other practice. If I see you doing advanced poses, finish your art. Yeah, that was it.
And what was your response during this months when you were practicing, and at the end of the period? Have you felt any shift?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time. It takes a long time, and the things you don't really, you see, you hear them, you listen to them. Well, I'm sorry, you listen to them, you don't hear them. You listen to them, you hear them, and you don't understand them because See, maybe I was at that point, I could not understand it. It took me a lot of time to digest it, you see. Because the thing is, the relation with the teacher is the mirroring of your projection and expectations, in my case. So you go through your own projection, your own expectation, your own drama. And that's it. And yeah, see that's the process of exploring oneself with a teacher. So it took me, yeah, it takes the time it has to take.
Yeah, as you said, for everybody, it's a unique process.
Yeah, exactly. Because you see, life never forces understanding on you. It never does that. See, if you don't understand, okay, it's fine. It's not the time. It will come later on another form, in another situation, but it will come back to you.
How would you, you mentioned the relationship with the teacher is very unique for every student. How would you define your relationship with Guruji?
Yeah, first, you see, the thing is that the concept of relationship is based on the illusion of separation. So the thing is that you want to gap that separation. That's the trip. I mean, there's a beautiful saying in the Tantra, the saying that consciousness takes the expression of the question and the answer being both at the same time. See, consciousness takes the expression of the teacher and the student being both at the same time. So I would say that, in fact, you see, if you are really with I don't like the expression, but well, if you are really with a deep teacher, you can sense that what you call the relationship is just your own projection. There is no relationship at all. The relationship is always a projection, expectation, whatever you want to call it. And my relationship, to answer more formally to you, my relationship with Guru was very formal. That's it. You know, very formal. He was the Guru, I was, and that's it. But once again, you see, and then I could see that my relationship with my teacher was mirroring my projection and my insecurity. Whatever I was projecting in that relationship. And the relationship is always based on the idea of separation. The thing is that in the presence of the teacher, the Acharya, the Guru, I call that whatever you want. Though the teacher is not the Guru, but well, in the presence of the teacher, you can see your own presence. You can feel your own presence. See? So it's a reminder of your own presence. And you see, there's a beautiful saying of Hanuman. You know, Hanuman, I think it's in the Hanuman Chalisa, I can't remember, which is very beautiful. He said, from the point of view of my body, speaking of Rama, his relationship with Rama. From the point of view of my body, I am his servant. From the point of view of my mind, I am his disciple. From the point of view of my soul, I am him. It's beautiful. You have different function, different reading, but you see the essence is the same. So from the point of view of my body, on one side, I am the servant of Rama. From the point of view of my mind, I am the disciple of Rama. From the point of view of my Atman, my essence, I am him. There's no difference. I see the relationship with the teacher is quite interesting because it's, yeah, as I said, it mirror your own project. It was mirroring my own projection, my own insecurity, my desire to be recognized, my desire to be acknowledged, to be loved. You know, the projection. We're all looking for the father and the mother. You know, sorry to go into that. See. And then, of course, you have, unfortunately, you have all the trip around this, the court around the guru, the one who are closer, the one who are here, but, and what you try to be close to the guru and all the strategy you are using which create a lot of competition between people. To be closer and closer to who you don't know. In fact, it's just it was my game. Because there's nothing to win, nothing to lose. As a matter of fact, yeah, you're going to lose your illusions. At one point or the next, you're going to use your illusion, which is good. And you are going to see that, in fact, they say that, they were saying, they say, you really understand the teaching of the guru when he's not there anymore in the physical form. Yeah.
So after this 4 years in Pune, you came back to Europe, and you continued with your practice without the Guruji being present. How has this experience been after being so such proximity to him?
That's where it starts.
I know many people get lost and when their teacher is not present, or when being for a long period of time in a close proximity to a teacher, coming back to the yoga mat where you're just by yourself. Many people find it very challenging, and so what would be your guidance to students to start with the self-practice without teacher around?
The thing is that I don't have any guidance to give. I'm serious about that. I don't have any guidance. Because I mean, the process of the people is the guidance. I just can share. I just can share something about what I don't understand, which is the mystery of consciousness and my process. That's all. That's it. That's my process. And the thing is, see, when I came back to the West, see, that's where I start. Because first, you don't understand at the beginning that the teacher is always there. The teacher, not the teacher in the physical form. See, the teacher has awareness is always there. It will never leave you. See, so the teacher is always there. The thing is that you understand the presence of the teacher. In fact, it really starts when the teacher is not there anymore. In the absence of the teacher, the guru is really there. So for me, it really started because it was very challenging to come back to the West, because I was I was in a bubble in India. Very nice. As a matter of fact, at the beginning, I was just running back to India every 5 minutes. Because for me, it was an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you go to the process of life, which is for me, say that the whole reality, but when I said the reality, I would say the whole reality and the whole one's own process is the practice mat. There is no other practice than the practice of reality. And then, of course, you are in your process. You come back. Okay, you don't have a place to stay. You have to find a place. Blah blah blah. Whatever you have to go through, you go back to your family, because I was still young.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, Baba Ramdas, he has a beautiful saying. He said, "If you feel that you are awakened, if you feel that you're excited, spend a weekend with your family."
Yes, that's.
So you go back to your family. And wow, you go back in the place, in the family constellation with all the drama of the family. So it's quite, and that's the practice. You see, I was needed that. And then, okay, you go through all the thing, and starting a school, and at the beginning, I stayed 6 months, and I went back to India straight away. So all this coming and going. So the thing is that when the teacher is not there, that's where he is really with you.
Mm.
That's where. it's like, you see, the thing is that it's like, okay, you live with a person every day. At one point, you don't see the person anymore. The person has to live to make you understand her or his presence. So in the absence of the person, you realize the presence of the person. And then, of course, you see, you have a deeper understanding that whatever you meet is the guru, the teacher. And of course, you actualize that on the mat, that's it. But whatever you meet is the teacher. And sometimes, see, whatever you meet is the teacher, whatever you meet inside you is the teacher. And sometimes this meeting of the teacher as the situation, as the process, well, it's very scary sometimes. Very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're going to find I won't say you, I'm going to say I find myself in a very vulnerable spot. And it's still it's still going on. It's still going on.
In that process of self-exploration, how should one look at progress, or from your experience, how do you really understand whether there is any progress or not, and whether we actually should think about it?
But I mean, progress is just the concept of the mind, and it's just a very linear way of seeing the journey, which is as an entity, as Christian, he has to do things to make a progress to reach where. See, the progress is my projection in the future. And as a matter of fact, most of the sadhana, you have different orientation. It's based on that trip, the trip of progress.
Yeah.
Which right now, somewhere, there's something wrong with me. There's something lacking. There's something lacking in me right now. I'll have to do a lot of things, purification, all that blah, blah, to reach just a place, a state where I will be all right. So personally, once again, according to my understanding, which is very limited, the progress is for an entity. The progress is by on my personal story, my personal drama. So I would say on a deep level of consciousness, awareness, there is no progress at all. But you see, the thing is that as a personal story, as my personal drama, as Christian, as my illusion to be a separate entity, and the thing that I really feel that something is missing, I have to do like kind of spiritual gymnastic to reach somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always in the future, never now. I have to purify my body. I have to purify my senses. I have to purify my mind. The whole trip. And when I really purify enough, okay, then maybe at that point. So I would say that, I don't encourage this. The progress is based on what I call the culture of effort.
Mm-hmm.
Our society were really conditioned by this culture of effort, progress, performing, merits. I don't subscribe to that.
So is there a better or more helpful way of looking at it, I understand what you're saying. That yes, it is a. It is just the way how our mind operates. We see life in general as a very linear journey from point A to point B, and then whatever we make has to take, whatever we do has to take us, forward and forward and forward. So for a practitioner of yoga, but also for a person in general, is there a more helpful way of looking at this journey? Or
quite obvious. I mean, the journey, at one point you take the journey to get tired of the journey. That's it. At one point in speculative times, you make a lot of effort to understand that the effort is not necessary. See, you go through the whole process, the whole seeking, to get tired of the seeking. So in fact, it's a good news. You don't have to do something in a specific way. See, you are in your process, and you see you do what you have to do in your process, and the process itself will tide himself. See, the thing is that it's like, to give you an example. If I go around, see, at one point I go around. Huh? I mean, geographically. See, I go here, I go there. See, I go everywhere. At one point, I say, okay, that's enough. I go back home. It's the same with, I would say, the term I don't like, the inner journey. That's why there's Ramdas would say, beautiful, say, the psychodrama of sadhana doesn't interest me anymore. The thing is that one goes to what one has to go through, and that's it. But you see, what allows you to understand the process, what allows you to know that you are in the process, is not a process, it's consciousness awareness, which is our nature, consciousness awareness. So on another level, at the level of Christian, I do whatever I have to do, say, in the drama of Christian. To realize at one point, that's okay, it's just a drama. But what makes me know the drama of Christian is awareness consciousness. So I would say the process of itself is a teacher.
mm-hmm.
But remember what I said in the first part.
Yes.
Remember, which is quite important, I speak of as something that I don't understand at all. Huh? Remember that.
I remember.
It's just my narration of something, my narration. That's it.
Can you speak a little more on how has this experience of studying directly from BKS Iyengar affected the way you teach?
The thing is that I didn't have any, it's not like these days, I didn't have any sense of pedagogy at all. Not at all. And then also I started by teaching by imitation. No good. And unfortunately, I was also trying to reproduce the ambience of what I knew in Pune.
Mm-hmm.
Very bad too. Well,
what made you realize that it was not appropriate for this?
It's very bad. It's not that. It's just, unfortunately, that's what I could do at that time. That's all, with my understanding. Because you see, the thing is that I was not in touch with my process. Not being in touch with my process, you can't be in touch with other people, the process of other people. So it took me many years to find my own language. And then the thing is that I was teaching in a certain way, and I was going somewhere against my nature.
Mm-hmm.
I was projecting an image of myself, which has in complete contradiction with what I was feeling. And the pedagogy I was using, that's the pedagogy, I'm sorry what I'm going to be, since we are between friends, I'm going to tell you that. The pedagogy I was using at that time, which was not pedagogy at all. That's why now I speak these days, the pedagogy of non-pedagogy. The pedagogy I was using in these days, my early days of teaching, was the pedagogy I've received. The pedagogy of fear, shame, and guilt. And I was reproducing that on my students. So the people who are, the people already, we are already full of fear. We're already somewhere damaged. And we're already a lot of fear, we're already very insecure, very, some people, and they have a very, the connection with the body is they have a very shameful connection with the body, And so, unfortunately, you see this pedagogy of fear doesn't help us. When you point the finger to the students, and sometimes you humiliate them because they are not stretching the leg or whatever the thing it is, The thing is that we create by this kind of practicing in fear, and I've seen myself, and once again, that's my process. I speak about myself. I don't speak about other people. I mean, I was going to the classes, with my belly knotted in fear because I was okay with, who's going to scream at me and jump on me, you know what I mean? And by this kind of and then of course, because it's quite it's trigger very deep conditioning in us. Where when the fear, that you are not good enough. And then we practice, and this kind of practice create, I would say, a body of a structure of a defense structure. And you practice always with this, once again, in my case, with this fear of doing something wrong all the time. It's never good enough. The technique is never right enough. Your leg is never straightened enough. All these kind of things. And unfortunately, at the beginning, I was using that pedagogy. Unfortunately for my students and for me. And since if I would if I would if I would meet this, I will apologize to these people. So I'm sorry, I was young and I couldn't understand much. So please, I do apologize if I somewhere I hurt you.
What helped you to find your own voice and find the way which was appropriate for you to teach?
Yeah, it takes many years. It takes many years to go, to it takes many years, and also to have somewhere, to find in a place, in a lonely place when you are on your own, away from the, I would say, away from the crowd. I would say the crowd of the crowd of the what should be done or not in the teaching. Of course, at the beginning you have to have guidelines. I'm not speaking about that. And then you go through all your process of getting naked. But just by the circumstance of life, and be more and more in touch with your process, and even in the practice of as myself, be more and more in touch with your own process, your own limitation, to understand the limitation of other people. And then you will never put the emphasis on the limitation of the student, never. Because whether they straighten the legs or not, okay, fine, okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. But you never put the emphasis on the limitation. You put the emphasis on the capacity of exploring the process, the beauty, and you put the emphasis on the beauty of the whole process, which means somewhere you see them in a non-judgmental way. See, and when the person is seen, she felt, she's feeling that she's non-judged. She's non-judged. No, she can open up. She can relax in the process. Otherwise, it's a big stress to come into a yoga class. You know what I mean? Because it's already hard. I know the life is already so competitive. Yeah, and then you go to yoga class and you still have to perform, which doesn't mean that okay you do this, you do that, but and you still have to perform. You still have to prove something to you, to the teachers, to the others. It's endless. And I do think that when you're to be more and more in touch with one's own weakness and vulnerability, it opens you up to other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It all starts with you. The more kinder you are to yourself, the kinder you could be to other people. And
Which also gives you much more, I would say, spirit for exploring. Yeah.
Just a comment on this. Some people may say that in the group class where especially demanding class where many students are making their best effort and kind of, I wouldn't say performing, but making their best effort, they're feeling that they're progressing more. There are people around. Yes, somebody maybe is put shame, and somebody is commented about the bad legs or not straight legs, but some students are feeling that well, it's actually helping them to progress. Is it really helpful, or is it really taking us more into delusion about the whole exploration process itself?
Well, the thing is that you see, decide, especially if students, just the see of progress is just it's just a story that we are telling ourselves. Okay, it's true that you start and you can't straighten your leg or you can't touch your feet, and 6 months after you can touch your feet. Okay, fine. Okay, great, big deal. That makes you happier. Touching your toes is fine. It's great. You see, but that makes you happier. That makes you, I would say, in your relationship, more open to other people. The thing is that you see, and one has to be very careful about the dynamic of the group. The dynamic of the group can be very toxic, especially in a class, if it's based on comparison, competition. And we are all hooked, we are all addicted to that competing with oneself and the other, even if it's not said. Competing oneself, competing with the other, comparing oneself and to the others. We are addicted to that. The instruction I use in the class, first I never impose time on the poses, never. Yeah. And especially in the so-called more advanced classes, never. See? So I don't say, okay, you have to stay 10 minutes in each person. I say the situation, the authentic situation should be breathable and should allow you to exhale. If the situation is not breathable anymore, that's it, finish, you come down. Instead, I do think that the ambience of a class, forget about progress. If the people think the progress great, fine, beautiful. But the thing is that it's more to be in touch with the awareness of the process, which means when they leave the class, they have this feeling of spaciousness, not progress. Because this idea of progress is it's a short run, you know, it doesn't. And anyway, you're going to progress until when you are going to progress? Because this is endless. You can always progress. You can always, and that's the trip. That's always progress. I mean, as a matter of fact, you need several lifetime, you know, because you need that cycle. You know, you need 1,000 lives, because one life is not enough. There's a beautiful quote by Kshemaraj. Kshemaraj was a teacher in the Kashmiri Shaivism. He said, commenting at this, he says, when we have let go of the fever of effort, see the fever, the chains of effort, which is a deep conditioning. Because you see, the thing is that, and some students, he said, well, of course, if I don't make effort, if I don't progress, I'm stagnating. See, that's the idea. That if you don't make any effort, you're just stagnating, and that's it. That's the idea. So I do think that in that exploration, where one has to question a lot of preconceived ideas that we take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a beautiful poem from Kabir. You know Kabir?
Yes,
he was a weaver in Varanasi, yeah, mystic weaver in Varanasi. Beautiful poem. He says, hell, paradise and hell are for the ignorant. Paradise and hell are for the ignorant. And I'm not confused anymore about vice and virtue. Seeker, listen, wherever you are is the entry gate. See, wherever you are is the entry gate.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that on a practical point of view, you say, okay, as I said, that business of touching the toes, it's okay, I could not do Urvadanurasan. Now, 6 months after, or 1 year after, I can do Urvadanurasan. Great, fine, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But you say, what allow you to understand, what allow you to know that at one point you could not do Urvadanurasan, and at one point you can do Urvadanurasan is consciousness awareness. Consciousness awareness doesn't have any progress at all because it's always now. And then with that progress, we have to go back to that feeling that something is lacking. And right now, I'm not enough. That's the lesson, you know, for most of us. That's the lesson of my parents taught me, in a subliminal way, that I was not enough to deserve love.
On a more physical, physiological, psychological level, how has Iyengar Yoga helped you, and how is the practice of asana and pranayama supporting you today?
Well, the thing is that you see in your sentence as how Iyengar Yoga has helped you personally, you know. That's it.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. Well, the thing is hard to say because you see, the thing is that I would have to have few lives, you know, a life of Christian, not practicing yoga at all, and not Iyengar Yoga. And this life, practicing to really understand how it helped me. The thing is that the help, want us to be careful with the help, because it's like, okay, there's yoga which is outside me and as an instrument is going to help me. And then personally, that's tricky. In fact, all the practice and all the rituals of yoga points towards your own, in Sanskrit they call that Shakti,
Power.
the end
Mhm,
power,
mhm.
energy capacity that you are already in you. They all point towards that understanding that all the gods, the goddess, the energy, are in you already. So it's not coming from outside. It's that you understand that all this capacity, the energy, are already the expression of your body as such. Like, like the organic body is quite amazing. The function of the brain, function of the heart, the function of the liver, the function of the kidneys. This is all done on its own, the function of the breath. It happens spontaneously. If I had to manage that, I would not survive 5 minutes. That's why in the Shiva Sutra, it's a beautiful sutra, Shiva Sutra, the Sharira Vritti Vrattam. Sharira Vrittir Vrattam. And we know this three terms: Sharira is the body, Vrittir in that context is the organic modification, Vrattam is the vow, the religious rule, the religious vow. So for the yogi, see, the organic function of the body is the religious vow, the Vrattam. So those practices help you to understand, the rituals of yoga help you to practice that all this energy, that's why they put the god and the goddess in the body itself, that they're already in you. So, and then the thing is that how yoga help you personally. Personally, personal is a very interesting word. The etymology that comes from Latin, perso. It was the mask that the actors were using to carry the voice. I would say that the yoga doesn't help you personally. It helps you that the personality is just a mask, it's just a game. In fact, it's gonna, I would say, it's gonna somewhere, it's gonna pull the carpet under your feet. To understand more and more this personality, well, it's just a hoax. But the practice gives you connect you to the energy to understand that. To understand the body, the senses, the mind, the emotion, the thoughts, that they're just energies supporting my personality. And then, of course, it helps me to play the game I have to play. Whatever game I play, because we all have to play a game. As a personality, we all have to play. We all have to play a role. We all have to wear a mask to play it's like a video game. You choose an avatar.
Mhm.
And the ritual of yoga helps you to make you understand that, okay, it's just a game. Because otherwise, one can get completely identified with that makeup. And of course, when you get completely identified with the makeup, one gets really scared to lose the makeup. Yeah. So in fact, somewhere you understand your own amazing capacities, all this energy, the Shakti, you are in the body, the Shakti, once again, the organic Shakti, the Shakti of the senses. I'd advise you to read, the name of Abhinavagupta, of the circle of deity in the body, Devata Chakra in the body. And the ritual of yogas are the celebration of that. So you understand that your form, you intuit that your form is the expression of the energy of consciousness in a limited form.
How has the practice of asana and pranayama, how does it work on our body, on that container? and how does it affect the sense of awareness and the consciousness from your experience?
The asana doesn't support the form. The breath supporting the form. And the breath, the form, my form is an expression of the breath. Now, of course, you see, traditionally, it was explained that way. The thing is that you see, in fact, traditionally, the form, the physical form was the first text, the first shastra, the first tantra. Yeah, as a matter of fact, they say, in the physical form, you have all the tantra, all the shastra, all the god, all the goddesses. And so there is a reading, the reading of the physical form, which is done through the asanas. But mind you, the first meaning of asana, and the first meaning of asana, it's a seat, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seat. Is to be to be established in oneself. But first, it's a seat. Asana is a seat. So, and the asanas, the asanas which are expressed from that first asana, which is established in oneself, the seat, the mythologists say they are the expression of the Tandava of Shiva. See? The dance of Shiva, you see, the dance of consciousness, of vibration, expressing itself in a myriad of form, in a myriad of asanas. And, sometimes, the asana of the animals, the vegetables, the constellation, And then, so the first, through the asana, the different form of asanas that we are knowing, and another little, most of the asanas that we know today, not all of them, most of them, are just contemporary form of asanas. Anyway, so you read the form, the body. I read my body through the asanas, and the first reading is the sensations. So you read the body through the sensation. In Sanskrit, it's called sparsha. Sparsha. Why this reading is very important, the reading of the body through the asanas, through the sensation, because most of us, we are thinking the body. See, I've got an image of myself. I've got that the mirror is projecting me. This image is based on the past and the future. And it's always in contradiction from expectation. Always. See? And one has to shift from a thought body to a felt body. So to go back to the feeling of the body, the sensation of the body, to the asana is very important, because the sensation is always now. See? You are in the nowness of the sensation. So there's a beautiful prayer to a goddess, the salutation to the richness of touch, Sparsha Lakshmi. To the richness, the wealth of touch. Touch is Sparsha, richness is Lakshmi, Sparsha Lakshmi. So you see, that's the first thing. You read the body to the sensation through the asana, Sparsha, and then the sensations, they have a sound, or nada. First you go to the sensation, then to the sensation, the sensation, they have a sound, nada, and as you know, it's written in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, nada anusandana. That's one of the most important practice in yoga and Hatha Yoga is nada anusandana. The listening, the resorption into the nada, the sound. I remember one instruction of Guruji in Parjvakonasana, you have to listen to the sound of the knee.
The sound of the knee.
Yeah, the sound of the knee in Parjvakonasana. Rolling from inside out, the sound of the knee, the vibration of the knee. So first you see, the asana, so you read the body, all right? Sensation, you feel it. You feel the expansion, the contraction, you feel the sensation, whatever asana you do, you feel the breath, whatever. Then so the sensation becomes sound, nada. Then the sound becomes vibration, spanda. So you into it, through the sensation, the sound that the body, your body, is the spanda, the vibration of consciousness. That your form, because of course, you see, I would say the common man, usually we don't understand that this body is the vibration of consciousness. They say the field. It's a beautiful saying in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna said to Arjuna, they said Dea in Sanskrit, the body is Dea, it's one another. He says the body is called the kshetra, the field.
Mm-hmm.
And in order, I'm the knower. So for most of us, it's really hard to understand that this is the field of awareness. Because you see, I am in the mental trip of my body. I don't feel it. I conceptualize it. I see, I have this, the body for most of us, it's just a projection of the past into the future. And for most of us, it's, I would say, it's a defensive structure based on fear. It's not the beauty of going back to feeling, not through the asanas, and to understand that this form, this limited form, is hence the expression of the field of consciousness awareness. And also, of course, by exploring the breath. See? By exploring the breath, because one doesn't practice pranayama to understand the energy of the breath. To understand there is something in me which is inhaling or exhaling.
So when does this exploration of breath comes in? You mentioned the image of the body, the sensations, then the sound. Where the exploration of breath comes in?
Oh, it comes straight at the beginning. It's a very simple way, because you go in a pose, you exhale, you go down, you inhale, you come up. That's a very, very practical way. And then the thing is that so first in the you explore, so the body, what we say, through the sensation, through the regions. That's very important in the mapping of the body according to the yogic tradition. These regions are called adhara. Adhara. Adhara, which means support of contemplation. There's 16. So whether we know it or not, when we do the asana, we explore those supports of contemplation. One very simple is the palangushta, the big toe. So you have different adharas. Then you explore, that's the cartography, the mapping of the body according to the yoga. Then you explore the firmaments, beautiful. Firmaments called Vyoman in Sanskrit. It's the sky in the body. The sky of the pelvis, the sky of the abdomen, the sky of the chest, the sky of the skull. And then, of course, you explore the breath, the inhalation, the exhalation. Going through the region, going to the firmament. It's like when you do Supta Baddha Konasana, as you know. Now, when you're on the bolster, you have the expansion of the pelvis, the expansion of the abdomen, the expansion of the chest, and then you explore the inhalation, the exhalation in the form. That's it. And then, why would we explore why do we explore the breath? Whether it can be very simple, not even going into very difficult pranayama, very simple. It's first to understand that, I don't inhale, I don't exhale. There's an impulse in me. Without this impulse, forget about it. If there is not this impulse, and I say, if I had to manage my breathing, I will not survive 5 minutes. But there is impulse in me where it's inhaling and it's exhaling. And then we explore the breath to understand the pause, especially at the end of exhalation.
Mm-hmm.
And the pause at the end of inhalation. There is a pause at the end of exhalation before the new inhalation. In that pause, there is no inhalation, there is no exhalation. It's a spontaneous kumbhaka, where there is no day, no night, no death, no birth. You see? That's why we explore the breath. And we explore the breath. I would say we explore the breath to understand the play of consciousness, the play of awareness in my body, in one body itself, which is the play. Once again, in my orientation, which is very limited, the practice of asana, and then there's not the practice of asana, it's the practice of the asanas, the bandhas, the mudras, the breath, the bhavanas. Bhavanas are very important. Bhavanas are the creative imagination in asanas. So in my orientation, we don't do asana to colonize the body, to control the body, the mind, the senses. It's a celebration of the limited form. It's a way to celebrate my limited form as the expression of consciousness. You can find that in the Siddha Siddhanta Padati, which is a text from Gorakshanata. Siddha Siddhanta Padati. He said that, okay, the Padangushtadra, he said that the first Adara, the system, the first Adara, he said it should be meditated on as a bulb of light. And it makes the vision steady. It's quite interesting, the connection between the big toe and the eyes. Which is sometimes there's an anchorage, you anchor, and because it's your anchor, you are somewhere, it's connected to the vision. The vision is stable, not agitated. And then also, it's quite interesting also, drifting away from the big toe, I will come back to it after. In the feet, under the feet, and that's also, you can find that in that text, because you see, when they describe the body in the text, they don't speak about the shoulder blades and the quadriceps, and they have a lyric interpretation of the body, placing God, goddess, river, ocean, whatever. And in the feet, they place the kurma is there. Kurma.
The
it's the incarnation of Yichi, as you know. The ocean, the churning of the ocean, as you know, the Diva and the Asura together to churn. And because the mountain was collapsing, Vishnu took the incarnation of the tortoise and went underneath the mountain to stabilize it, to churn it. So it's quite interesting that they put the kurma under the feet, because of course, see, the feet support the spine. So without that support, especially you don't have access to the spine, the churning of the spine. And the big toe is strictly, the second one is the Muladhara, the Adhara of the root. So the big toe is strictly is connected. In fact, you can experience that, like when you do Parangushta Danda or Parangushta Upavishna, as soon as you catch the big toe, you see it's related to the leg and the root of the spine, and then the spine, the awakening of the spine. So through the big toe, there's a kind of awakening of other region. It's like, okay, when Balapadmasan, you catch the big toe, you pull on the big toe, it's related to the Muladhara, and especially the navel. So you have this link, because you see the body is an ecosystem, and all these adharas are connected. They are connected not only bodily, but also on a pranic level. And after, once again, it's because people who are listening to that, they can say, "Forgot, it's very complicated." And forget about it. It's just once again, it's just a game. The thing is that if one is interested, you go into it. If you don't do it, it's fine. It's okay.
You have spoken a little bit of the philosophy Kashmiri Shaivism. How were you able to connect these teachings with Patanjali Yoga?
So first, the appellation Kashmiri Shaivism is the modern appellation. Traditionally, it's called the Trika. my first encounter with Kashmiri Shaivism was a long time ago. I was in my 20s, was with a beautiful text called the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, which is one of the fundamental tantra in the school. One, and there's other one. And in a nutshell, you see in that approach, they said, you are already what you are seeking. In a nutshell, huh? You are already what you are seeking, but you don't know it already. You are already Shiva, you are already consciousness, you are already what you are seeking, and everything is an expression of consciousness, awareness. The whole universe is an expression of consciousness, awareness, the place of Shiva and Shakti. Now, you say how you connect that with? Well, you don't. You don't, because it's different reading of realities. It's not a question of right and wrong. It's not that at all.
Mm.
Not that at all. It's different reading of reality, which are good at one point. No? And I do think that, you see, one goes through you go through some approach because you have an inclination of your heart. And you see, my inclination of my heart go towards this amazing inclusive approach. So you don't connect. There's a kind of connection, but this different reality. One is completely non-dual.
Yeah.
And the reading of Patanjali is dual.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not a question of right and wrong. It's a reading of reality. It's like, okay, you have the reading of the Newton reality, you have the Einstein reality, the way they explain the universe, the quantic reality. No, it's different reading. So the reading of Patanjali is, well, once again, in a nutshell, you have two principles, Prakriti, Purusha. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Purusha being the spirit, the sphere, Prakriti being the nature. And the project of Patanjali, if I understood correctly, maybe not, but it's Kaivalya, complete isolation between Purusha and Prakriti. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Say that at the beginning, in the first, Yuga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, and then if you have that, the Purusha is established in his own nature. If you don't have that, is identified with Prakriti, and it's a big mess. So that's his reading.
Yes.
The one reading is based on this duality, one reading of reality. And the text is beautiful, by the way. Text pattern beautiful, is marvelous, but it's not my cup of tea. Though it's beautiful insight, but it's based to the duality, Purusha Prakriti, and the isolation of both. And that's it. And then you have the vision, the insight of the Trika, where see everything is consciousness, everything is awareness, and you are already what you are seeking, and you see the universe, and the whole universe is the place of Shiva Shakti. Shiva being, in Sanskrit, is Prakacha, light. Shakti being Vimarcha. See, the light recognizes itself. Consciousness knows itself that it exists. And to make the parallel, if you see in Patanjali, Purusha can see, but he can't act. He can't act at all. He can't. To act, he needs Prakriti. He just see. That's the difference. And after, okay, I mean, if one gets the inspiration from Patanjali, fine, great.
Mm-hmm. Then I feel I have to ask this question. Guruji based his teachings a lot on Patanjali yoga. In fact, he was always against of calling it Iyengar's yoga, but it is Patanjali yoga what he is teaching. So how did you deal with contradictions, if there were any, when teaching Iyengar yoga, but inclining more towards Kashmiri Shaivism?
First, I don't teach Iyengar yoga. I teach what I have understood from my. I teach what I've understood from my teacher. So that's it. I teach what I understood. So I can't say I teach Iyengar yoga. See, of course, somewhere, because the little I know about asana and pranayama, I owe it to Guruji.
Mm-hmm.
I use whatever tools we are using in Iyengar yoga, but I can't say I teach Iyengar yoga, because I'm going to say I teach what I've understood from what Guruji taught me, Gitaji, Prashanji. And then I teach what I digest and understood from that. It reminds me a quote from Nietzsche, the philosopher Nietzsche. He said, there was only one Christian, and it was Jesus Christ. I remember, Guruji, I've heard a few times, he said, I'm teaching the pure Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. See, a few times. Well, the thing is that, with all due respect to Guruji, see, the thing is that for him it was very important. For him it was very important because, as you know, for many years, he was criticized by the pundit.
Yeah.
For many, saying that, okay, what you're teaching is not yoga, it's just physical lessons. So for him, it was very important to get connected to a traditional text, hence the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, and say to him that what I'm not teaching is based on a deep tradition, the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And mind you, many of the contemporary schools do that. So they say that they are teaching the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. Well, the thing is that what we do, once again, of course, one can use the Yoga Sutra for inspiration, but you see what we do in these days. I'm even afraid to say I'm teaching yoga.
Really?
Yeah, because the thing is that you see, yoga cannot be taught. Yoga cannot be taught. If yoga is awareness, this cannot be taught. We are teaching techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are teaching techniques, and hopefully those techniques point towards the orientation, which is yoga, which is awareness consciousness. And hopefully in the class, we have a yogic orientation, hopefully. What I think is personally, what I teach, I don't think has much to do with Patanjali. Of course, Yama and Yasma is beautiful, what one should do, although it's beautiful, a very good inspiration. But you see, the thing is that because in what I've understood of Patanjali, of course, which is very limited, the Patanjali was based on the meditation concentration. He was not at all interested in asanas. In fact, he has two, as you know, three sutras: Sthira Sukha Asana, Sthira Sukha Asana, and then of course the modern interpretation, which is maybe a bit of stretching. The asanas, the posture, which is good too, should be firm, sthira, and sukha is easy. And I think the problem is in the text of Patanjali, it doesn't speak about the asanas. And then, of course, you can use it for the asanas, but in that understanding, he speaks about the asanas as the feet, because in the text, in Sanskrit, it is singular, which doesn't agree with that at all. Gitaji too, I've heard it, no, it doesn't. If it was plural, it would have changed. It's a different. No, because he's a grammarian, he knows how to use Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say the asanas, he says the asana, which is the seat. The seat for meditation should be sthira sukha. Then prayatna shetilya ananta samapati bhyam. Of course, all the asanas should be sthira sukha. Of course, beautiful. And prayatna shetilya, but do that in Vrikshikasana. Okay, of course, when you see Guruji doing it, it's sthira sukha, obviously. But then, you can do that for how long?
Mm-hmm.
So hence the seed, because for Patanjali it's meditation concentration.
Mm-hmm.
And the understanding that, Purusha is different than Prakriti. But once again, that's my understanding.
Um, a lot to reflect on. Um, as you know, this project is called the Force Niyama, and the idea behind it was to refer to Svadhyaya in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. And what does Svadhyaya mean to you, and how important is it for your practice?
Yeah. So again, Svadhyaya it's okay. It's in the context of Patanjali. For him, according to Vyasa, is the recitation of the Pranava home and the study of the text. Right? That's for him. That's Svadhyaya. So the thing is that you see, we can expand a bit the signification of Svadhyaya, which is okay, the study of oneself. But in Patanjali, it was once again the recitation of the Om, the mantras, Pranava, and the study of the scripture. Now you say, what's important? Is it important? Well, the thing is that, see, if one does it, it's important, obviously. If one doesn't do it, it's not important. But you see, when you go through the process of the exploration of the practice, I would say, the study of the text can confirm and infirm certain of your insights, and also can question the view of reality you have. So it can expand your exploration. And then, of course, the concept of Swadhyaya, leaving a bit the signification of Patanjali, which is the exploration of oneself. I would say the process of life is Swadhyaya. The process of life is Swadhyaya, or somewhere you explore yourself to understand what you are through what you are not. See, you go through the whole process of life, whether you practice or not, And of course, when you practice, it's even more intense. To understand what you are through what you are not. See, am I the body? Am I the senses? Am I the mind? Am I the emotions? Am I the breath? And the beautiful text of the Nirvana Shatakam, Shankaracharya. I'm not the buddhi, I'm not the manas, I'm not ahamkara, I'm not the memory. And then there is always the refrain, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am bliss, I am Shiva, I am Shiva. So the process of Swadhyaya is to understand what I am through what I am not. And that's the process of my life. And of course, for people who are, you see, for me, it was quite, it came naturally to explore the text because I liked it. To read the Gita, to read the Upanishad, to read the Yoga Sutras, and I find a lot of inspiration in that. But you say it's not, I would say it's not a thing that you have to tick on the list, because otherwise it's a never-ending list. For some people, it's like one of my friends, it's not his cup of tea. So he practiced, but it's not his cup of tea. Because he said for him, it doesn't resonate with him. He's not inclined to do that. And then the thing is that you see the text that we never read is the reading of the text of reality, the exploration of oneself is done through really the process of life, the process of relationship, how we interact with people, how I live my life on a daily basis, what I feel, what I deeply feel, what I express, what I don't express. Yeah. So in fact, whether we know it or not, we are all in a process of Swadhyaya. For some people, it's more obvious, because for some people, they say, okay, they are only interested in one thing, is to find out what they are. That's the only thing. I want to find out what I am. Deep in what I am. So for some people, it's their aim. But you see, for most of us, since our birth, we are all in the process of Swadhyaya, which is going to express itself in situation what they call, okay, the karma, It's like my configuration. See, I was born in France, not in New York. I was born in a certain family. I'm a man, not a woman. I have a certain name. The whole universe is saturated with the goddess of knowledge and yoga. The whole universe is saturated with the goddess of knowledge and yoga. So wherever I am, whatever I do, whatever I think, I can't be aware of that process of recognition. I can't. Even if I don't do yoga, I'm somewhere. Just a question of time. I'm somewhere in the yogic process.
It's been really enlightening conversation and
Yes.
very inspiring. Is there anything that you would like to share more with the practitioners to give them some support and encouragement beyond all this?
Yeah, just one thing. Just forget everything what I said. And I'm just to quote Lala Laleshwari. To end the quote Laleshwari, she was a yogini, a mystic, a poetess from Kashmir from 14th century. She wrote beautiful poems. And that's the essence of practice, what she says. She said, always practice the three reminders. Always practice the three reminders. And the thing is that the whole life, wherever you are, it's a reminder. Always practice the three reminders. They are like lakes that cleanse the heart. Those reminders are like lakes that clean. The first, but I always remember that I'm a form of infinite consciousness. I always remember that I'm a form of infinite consciousness. Then I see all the glorious phenomenon of this universe as the expansion of my own consciousness. And most of all, I see all the different states of consciousness that I'm going through the day, whatever state of consciousness. I see all the different states of consciousness as the expression of my own self, myself. That's it.
Mm.
And I would like to thank you deeply for your trust, your invitation, and all the people who are going to listen to this. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.